Hello and welcome to another episode of the Good Hearted Podcast. Since we are a couple months into the new year now of 2022, I just wanted to take a minute to recognize that all of the newness of the year has probably worn off by now. Any of those resolutions you may have made at the beginning of the year, you may have totally forgot about them or abandoned them by now. But I just thought it was important to take a moment to do a self-care check-in. Just kind of thinking about some things, making sure that your mental health and your emotional health and physical health is all kind of, going in the right directions for what you want for the year. And essentially, I just want to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. And I've been doing the same thing for myself recently. I am feeling much better these last couple weeks after a very challenging kind of end to 2021. And the newness of the year definitely wears off quickly, but I still think it's important to acknowledge whatever changes we want to make and to just not be so aggressive in keeping particular goals or having rules about how we need to live our lives, but just acknowledging, hey, this was an area that I wanted to work on. How am I doing? Is that even on my radar anymore? Have I kind of overcome that and it's not something that's on my mind anymore? Or is it something that I'm actively working on every day, every week? And so I just had three simple questions that I wanted you to ask yourself. And these were questions that I actually answered in the beginning of the year. And I haven't looked at my answers. And so I kind of just thought this episode could be a fun little reflection to do together, and then maybe also give you ideas for what things that you can work on when it comes to self-care this year, and just trying to make some conscious goals about how to take care of yourself. This isn't something that's supposed to show how productive you are or how awesome your life is. It's literally just what you want to do with self-care this year and how you want to be better about taking care of yourself, because we need to do that every single year. And that way at the end of our life, we're not totally drained. I would rather look back on my life and know that I took good care of myself and the family and friends that really mattered to me, instead of looking back and feeling like I killed myself for a bunch of people that did not deserve the sacrifice that I made for them, if that makes sense. So basically, just realigning priorities in areas of your life that you aren't happy with, or you see that could potentially lead you to an unhappy place, and just recalibrating all of that. Really checking in with yourself to see where you are now, where you want to be. So I think that's enough rambling. So I'm just going to get into these three questions. Again, I think this episode's going to be kind of short and sweet, just a nice little self-care check-in. And I really hope that you are doing well today and that these questions just help to kind of get your wheels turning and find out how you can take care of yourself better this year. So for each of these three questions, I'd like you to come up with three different answers. And three, I think, well, one, I just like that number. I like the number three. But sometimes one answer comes to you immediately. A second answer isn't that hard to find, but sometimes that third answer is the one that you really have to dig to get to the real answer to the question and the real need in your life and the area that really needs to be worked on. So for each of these, I'd like you to just come up with three things as your answers. And so the very first question is, what are your three top goals in life? That is a big question. I feel like you could come up with 50 different answers if you wanted to for this question. But still, I remember having a little bit of trouble kind of figuring out what I was going to do. I had kind of a hard time narrowing down, what are the three most important things to me. And so in this moment at the beginning of the year, I wrote to feel happy most days, which seems so simple. But when I wrote this, I was having a lot of unhappy days and a lot of times that just I was struggling to find happiness and joy. And so to be able to look back on my life one day and to feel like I was happy most of the time, I think that would be an incredible gift and accomplishment. So I wrote that my second goal was to be a loving mom and wife. And I didn't put good mom, I didn't put great mom, I didn't put amazing mom, I didn't put any other word, I put loving. And I think that speaks to how I want to raise my daughter and how I want our family to function as a whole. And one thing that I took away from kind of my religious background is the concept of unconditional love, and that God supposedly loves us unconditionally. And I never really felt that kind of love in like my church community, besides from like a few people, or maybe one person, which is kind of sad, but it all just seemed very transactional, and that you needed to be a martyr for a lot of things and to kind of be a pushover with things. But from what I've learned, like as I've gotten older, being with an incredible partner and having friends that have become family, is just that I want to be that person who can unconditionally love the people in my life. And so, everybody has a different perspective of what a good mom is, or doing good things out of love. And so I want to be the unconditional, loving type of mom and wife. And I think that most of the time I do a really good job with that. And for me, that means being patient, letting my husband and my child express themselves as they see fit, and also like being loving towards myself, because I cannot be a good mom who is loving and patient and kind without also loving on myself and taking care of myself. And so the third goal I wrote down was to build a family that nurtures us. So if you can't tell, I am very concerned about, well, I don't, well, concerned is the right answer, but, or the right way to phrase it, but I'm trying to be very conscious of the family that we are building, and the way we are parenting, and the way our marriage is structured, and how our relationships are, and how our communication works. And when you come from a family that is broken and then blended, and you have these friends that are family and family that's not really family, and like all of these complicated things, I have found that as a mother, I want to protect my daughter from a lot of those things, a lot of the hurt that I experienced as a child. And while I know I can't and I shouldn't do that in all situations, I can take all of my experiences from witnessing friends' families and, my extended family, all of the good and all of the bad, and trying to just be better, because I think that's what every generation should be doing. We are always learning. There are always new resources out there. There's always better ways to parent. And I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, I want better for my child. Even if my childhood wasn't bad, I still want better for her. And so I want to have this family that is nurturing towards each other, but also like nurtures us as individuals. And again, kind of going back to the loving thing, and like letting, my husband and my daughter express themselves, which to me, that sounds so ridiculous to say that. But I know some people can be very controlling, and they want to keep, their partner or their children like in a box, and to not allow them to express like extreme emotions or who they are as a person, certain parts of their personality or things that they enjoy. And I don't want to be that kind of parent or in that kind of family. So that is just a huge goal of mine, is to have a family that is well functioning. Like, I know we will have our issues, and I may look back at this one day and be like, oh girl, you so did not fulfill that goal. But hopefully I will. And I think by just being conscious of it and being intentional about it every day, I will get closer to that than if I did not care about it at all or pay any attention to it. So the next question is, what are 3 fun things that you are going to accomplish this year? Which I thought was a really nice question, because it talks about fun. Like, so many things in life are based on productivity or, showing off what you have or financial goals. But this specifically said, what three fun things are you going to accomplish? And I also like the wording of this because it says accomplish, not just do, set out to do. Like, what fun goals do you have? Like, what fun thing are you going to go and accomplish and complete and check off of your list that is something that you are really looking forward to? So I wrote down doing something creative every week because I definitely see a change in my mental state and like my physical energy when I do something creative. So that can be designing something on Canva, literally just for fun. I kind of like mapping out my tattoo ideas in Canva, even if it's like nothing like what it would normally be, or taking the time to color, even if it's with Harper, or drawing something, painting something, doing a DIY project, brainstorming, just doing something creative every week. Sometimes it does not happen every day. That is not like realistic for me in this season of life. And so doing something weekly, I think will be very good. I kind of wish I had gotten way more specific on these fun things, but at the beginning of the year, I think I was just a little overwhelmed and didn't feel like anything was going to be fun this year. And so maybe in a month or two, I'll revisit these questions and like come up with something really specific that I want to accomplish that is fun. So I also said making family memories. And so the last couple years with being stuck at home during this pandemic, like so many things I feel like have been taken from us as far as like a traditional childhood experience. And now I'm like, Harper has lived 2 years at home with mostly just us. And we didn't even get to have a birthday party for her this year. And so, like, I have felt a lot of guilt about that as a mom, of just juggling like my responsibilities and basically what I am comfortable with. But I am still determined to make amazing memories with her, even if they are very small and simple things. And so I'm excited this year to take her like to the zoo, or to even just have something planned in our backyard that we do, and just trying to be intentional about doing things that we will remember for years to come, and not just spending all of our time watching TV inside. Actually getting out and doing things that make us feel like a completed little family that goes on family outings. And so we just haven't done that too much in the last couple years, but hopefully in the next few years, we will be able to make up for that lost time. And so I also put to take a trip. And so we do have a trip kind of on our books. It's not completely booked yet. That will be like a family trip in, I think, October. But I just want to go on a trip. Going on two trips would be incredible and amazing. I always feel so much better when we get out of our house and take that time away, just to kind of escape, reset, and have some good conversation, at least between Dylan and I, that we don't normally get when we're at home. And so taking trips and seeing new places, or even old places that we love, always is good for us. And so it's always fun. We always make those memories. And so, like, it's just a really good thing for us. So I'm looking forward to doing that this year. And then the last thing is, what are three fears you want to overcome this year? Oh, wow. I I kind of forgot what I wrote down for these questions, or for this answer. So I wrote down going to therapy, which I wasn't really going to talk about it yet, but I have gone to therapy. I finally made an appointment, and I drove to it. I had, Harper was being babysat by somebody, and I remember I got there and I parked, and I was texting Dylan. I was like, "So I'm here." And he was like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, I can't get out of the car. Like, I can't make myself get out of the car. I was so scared of kind of opening up and letting a bunch of old wounds. I don't know. I don't know how to put it, but I was scared. I was really scared to go to therapy. Now I have gone to two appointments. I have another appointment next week, and so far it has actually been pretty helpful. The very first appointment, of course, was like a consultation. So I've only gone to one like full therapy session. And maybe one day I'll talk more about kind of what I'm talking about in therapy and what we're dealing with. But mostly for right now, I wanted to just conquer my anxiety and the overwhelm that I feel with being a mom and staying home all the time during a pandemic. And so it has been very helpful so far. And I am very proud of myself for already overcoming that fear. So I think that is awesome for me. So the second thing I wrote down is I want to overcome the fear of asking for help. That I've been a little better at, but not that much better. Like, I still am not very good about asking for help. But I think we are going to be using our first babysitter this weekend. So that is huge for me, to be able to ask somebody who is not family to hang out with our daughter. I always am worried about asking family to help with her because I just never want to overwhelm people. I feel like I am very overly aware about stuff like that because so many people have taken advantage of me in the past that I am worried that someone will think I am taking advantage of them. And that is definitely the last thing I ever want somebody to think. So I am very aware of that and try not to ask for help. But sometimes I really need help and I need to get over the fear of somebody being annoyed or frustrated with me because I ask for help, especially when they've said, "Yeah, just let me know when you need help and I'll help you." And then the last thing I wrote is to stop avoiding my problems by shopping. Yeah, that's a big one. I do think I have done a little bit better with that this year. I've talked about it in the past about like shopping being a form of therapy, and I always end up feeling guilty and like I've wasted time and money when I do those kinds of things. But it's so hard to get out of the house and not spend money in some way. So like even today I was like, "Oh, what can I do? How can I get out of the house?" But I will be tempted to spend money if I go somewhere. And if I go somewhere and I don't spend money, I will be frustrated that I wasted my time. So I need to definitely be gentler with myself about that stuff and to just be okay with sometimes not using my time super wisely, because I used to be so obsessed with like being productive every minute of every day. And some of the self help books that I read in my early 20s, like totally sucked the life out of me because I did not know how to relax. And I'm just now finding out how to do that. And I've realized that it's totally okay to go walk around the mall for 2 hours and spend money or don't spend any money and just be glad that I got to stretch my legs and get out of the house. Like it doesn't always have to be so productive in one way or another. So I hope I didn't ramble too much. I will do a quick recap of these three questions. And I think it would be great for you to just ask yourself these questions, maybe take some time to either, write down your answers in a note app or in a journal or just make a mental note of what things come to mind and maybe take some time to dig a little bit more to come up with those real deep answers that would help you do some of that inner work to feel better and to really take care of yourself. Okay, so here are the three questions to ask yourself. What are your top 3 goals in life? What are 3 fun things you're going to accomplish this year? And what are 3 fears you want to overcome this year? So I think that has a good mix of, easy and hard questions and just will give you some insight into like what you are craving right now, how you need to take care of yourself, and what areas of your life could use working on if you have the energy to work on them. So thank you so much for watching this video today. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next one.